Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This time I'm out in my camp van, so I'm right by the lake and it's sunset right now and it's really beautiful. But I was just struck by some big news, so let's look into it right now. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. If you're a returning visitor, welcome back, and an especially warm welcome to all the new subscribers I received over the last 2 weeks. I'm super happy that you guys are all here. Today there's time for some big news. Dell has finally made it available, the XPS 15 for 2019. It's been a long wait and a lot of people have been anxious to check this computer out. Probably one of the most common comments I have received on my videos about the Dell Inspiron 15 has been how it compares to the Dell XPS 15, both the older models but mainly the one that is being released now in 2019. This is super exciting in so many ways. First of all, it has the OLED screen, it has 8-core processors, it finally has the webcam up on top instead of in the bottom of the screen, except that it has the same chassis and the same weight as it has had before. I wanted to take a look at the specifications for it and the pricing of the different models that Dell has released so far, and then compare the specifications with the Inspiron 15 7000 to see how they compare, since actually this is the first time Dell has ever made an Inspiron lineup with H processor and high quality graphics cards. There's some reason for that, and that reason is that XPS 15, that lineup is going pretty darn premium with this release in 2019. Let's have a look at the landing page to begin with. We come to the landing page and we can choose between the regular 15-inch and the new 15-inch. Now the text is going to be in Swedish, but I'm going to do my best to translate it to you. I want to keep the Swedish prices and the Swedish availability, since that's what I've been following for the last few weeks, both when it comes to Inspiron 15 and XPS 15. It says here that the price is from 14,990, which is approximately 1,500 euros. Well, that definitely goes for the older model, because the newer model there's nothing near this price range. Processors are up to the 9th generation Intel Core i9 9980HK. That should be an overclockable processor, right? So that's a really high-end model. We have graphics cards that are up to GeForce GTX 1650, 15.6-inch screen as usual, up to 2 terabyte PCIe NVMe SSD. That's pretty solid. And you can order it with up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, but then you can spec it out with up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. So it supports 32 gigabyte sticks. Let's look at what Dell says about the computer. Better placement of the camera, well, that's for sure. Finally, it's where it should be, above the screen. Revolutionizing web camera construction. Okay, I'm not sure if that's going to be true. We'll have to see about that. Infinity Edge, it has been there for many generations, so that's not really a thing. Unique design. XPS 15 is the world's lightest 15-inch computer. It is equipped with an SSD disk and has a weight of a bit less than 1.8 kilos. And is 11 to 17 millimeters thick. Well, that claim doesn't really hold up. I'm sorry to say, Dell. The Acer Swift 5 is exactly 2.2 pounds, which is equivalent to almost exactly 1 kilogram, or even a little bit less than 1 kilogram. And then we have this bad boy, Dell Inspiron 15 7000. Which clocks in at 1.6 kilos, and still it's a 15.6-inch computer. So the Dell XPS 15 with the 56 watt-hour battery is 1.8 kilos. The Inspiron 15 with the 56 watt-hour battery is 1.6 kilos. Let's see what more they have to say. Of course, now it's time to pitch the OLED display, which is hard to beat. It has a contrast of 100,000 to 1. I'm really keen to see how that screen looks in real life. It's also a touch screen. No, actually, that's probably just the regular 4K screen that is a touch screen. They pitched Dell Cinema, which I still don't really know what it is. Cinema Color, Cinema Sound, Cinema Stream. It's some bloatware that they send with the computer. It's kind of strange. Processor, graphics card. Oh yeah, here's a new thing as well. This XPS 15 has Wi-Fi 6 technology, which means that it can take 2.4 gigabit per second, which is a lot faster than Wi-Fi cards has been before. And battery life, this is interesting. You get the longest battery life in a 15-inch computer, up to 20.5 hours on Full HD 97 watt-hour model when you're working in Word or Excel, or up to 14.5 hours when you're streaming Netflix. With the 4K screen, you can get up to 13 hours and 22 minutes for productivity, or 9 hours and 22 minutes when you're streaming Netflix. With OLED you get 7 hours and 23 minutes with productivity and 9 hours and 23 minutes when streaming Netflix. That's quite interesting claims. So the Full HD screen is an insane battery life if what they claim is true. Up to 20.5 hours. I'm quite sure that's not gonna last, because I tested out my Inspiron 15, which has the same battery, and that's far from 20.5 hours. The fact that the regular 4K screen is 13 hours and then the OLED screen while doing productivity is 7 hours, that's interesting to know, the difference between the three screens. The XPS 15 for 2019 has the same ports as last year. There's basically no difference on either side. You have the full SD card slot, a USB port, you have a power plug, you have another USB port, full HDMI, Thunderbolt port, and then headphone microphone jack. So that's a good setup. The main difference compared to Inspiron 15 7000 is that there's one USB port less, and also this one has a full SD card reader while Inspiron has a micro SD card reader. I had an XPS 15 back in the day, like probably 4 years ago or so. I decided to get rid of it. I sent it back quite soon after I got it, because I realized it had huge amount of backlight bleed, and also it had a lot of dead pixels in the screen, so I really wasn't very keen to keep that computer. Also, I did the mistake of ordering it with the super slow configuration with a hard drive instead of an SSD, which I can definitely not recommend. If you're gonna get an XPS 15, you're gonna get it with a fast SSD, because it makes all the difference in performance. Let's have a look at what alternatives are available with this computer now. That's super exciting. I'm really keen to see what I can buy it for and what specification I can get. So the cheapest model of the new XPS 15 is a bit under 3,000 euros, and the most expensive is 3,900 euros. Oh my god, this is way more expensive than I thought it would be. This is moving towards like MacBook Pro territory. Maybe this should be called Dell XPS Pro instead of just XPS 15, because this is crazy expensive. So with the most expensive specification here, the one that is 3,900 euros, you get Core i9 9980HK, you get Windows Home, not Windows Pro. That's kind of strange. You get 32 gigabytes of RAM, which holds for all the specifications, and you get a 2 terabyte PCIe SSD. This text is in Dutch or German, I believe. It's definitely not in Swedish, at least. So they haven't had the time to translate the texts yet. What else is there? Okay, so the most expensive is the regular UHD touchscreen, and this one that was 3,300 euros is OLED screen. 2 terabyte in the most expensive one, 1 terabyte in the OLED screen one. Is there anything else interesting here? They all have the large battery, so no 56 watt hour battery, so 1.8 kilos is definitely not going to be achievable with these models. It has Bluetooth 5 together with the Wi-Fi 6. That's a cool setup of wireless features. OLED model is 16 to 18 workdays, so that's about a month delivery time in total. Let's move on and compare the XPS lineup to the Inspiron 15 7000 lineup, because I think there's a fair amount of people that are choosing between these two models and that wonder what are the differences between the two. Let's compare the new XPS 15, the cheapest model with a full HD screen, with the model that I got of Inspiron 15 7000, which a lot of people probably think is one of the higher value models of the Inspiron 15. So the processor is going to be different. Most of the specifications are going to be different, but you can also change the specification according to your needs. In XPS 15 you have i7-9750H, and in Inspiron 15 you have Intel Core i5-9300H. In both computers you get Windows 10 Home. You get 32 gigabytes of RAM here, while you get 8 gigabytes of RAM there. But since you can put 2 RAM sticks in this one, you can upgrade it with up to 32 gigabytes RAM. Then you get a 1 terabyte SSD, while you get a 512 gigabyte SSD here. As you could see in one of my other videos, I added a 2 terabyte SSD to my computer, so I have a total of 2.5 terabytes SSD storage. You have a weight which is approximately 1.8 kilos. Well, with the larger battery this is going to be about 2 kilos. Here you have the weight 1.59 kilos. With the larger battery it's going to be 1.8 kilos. So it's about 200 gram difference in weight. We have the graphics card, which is exactly the same between the two. That's also the 4K model. I didn't realize that. So the only models that are available right now are the 4K models of the XPS 15. So we're comparing here the 4K model with the touch with just a full HD model. That's not the best comparison. This is going to be better for battery life. This is going to be way better for anything that is supposed to be color accurate. This is a really good screen, the regular touch screen there. Is there anything else that is interesting here? Yeah, the keyboard, of course. The keyboard here has the numerical keyboard. The keyboard here is without numerical. Let's compare the top spec XPS 15 to the top spec Inspiron 15. So this is also going to be a little bit of an unfair comparison, but I just thought it's funny to do it that way. And then we see how it's possible to alter the Inspiron 15 and what we land on in total pricing if we super top upgrade the Inspiron 15, if we can get anywhere close to the price of the most expensive XPS 15. Here we have an i9-9980HK, so that's an overclockable i9 processor with 8 cores. So that's a really darn solid CPU there. I'm interested to see though how cooling is gonna work there, because this is a super powerful processor. How is this thin computer gonna be able to cool that one? We know already from my testing with undervolting and thermals that, well, the i5 runs really hot. We know the i7 runs really hot. The i9 is probably gonna run really hot as well. Then we have 32 gigabytes of RAM, 2 times 16, and here we have 1 times 16 gigabytes RAM. This means you can just buy one 16 gigabytes RAM and you slot that in the available slot, and then you have 32 gigabytes RAM. One stick of 16 gigabytes is approximately 100 to 150 euros, so that's quite a cheap upgrade to be fair. Then we have a 2 terabyte SSD in the top model of the XPS. And in the top model of Inspiron we have a 512 gigabyte SSD. So there's a big difference. But keep in mind, here you have an extra M2 SSD storage. You can just put in another 2 terabyte SSD. If you want to, you can even update this to another 2 terabyte SSD. So you can reach 4 terabytes SSD without any big problems actually. The price is 3,900 euros for the XPS. And 1,900 euros for the Inspiron 15. So that's a crazy difference. Now the delivery time has increased quite a bit for the Inspiron 15, so it's 17 to 19 workdays delivery time. Except that they have the same graphics card. They both have the 4K screen, but this one is the touch screen and this is the non-touch screen. Of course, the full SD card reader compared to the micro SD card reader, well, that's up to each and every one to decide what is best. All my units, both my drone and my DJI Osmo Pocket and my Zoom H1, use micro SD cards, so I'm much better off with a micro SD card reader actually. It's better for most of my use cases. And then we have the Killer Wireless 1650 in the XPS, but here we just have a regular Intel Wi-Fi card. So there is a bit better spec on the XPS 15. Nice. Okay, let's do some calculations here, just to get an idea of what we can spec this Inspiron 15 up with and how that will put it in price compared to this top model of XPS 15. I mean, we can change the processor, that's obvious, that's going to be soldered onto the motherboard, but we can add on another 16 gigabyte RAM, so that will put us at the same 32 gigabytes as XPS 15. Let's add that one, and we say that is 1500 crowns or 150 euros. Then we have the SSD storage. We have 2 terabytes there, and we have 512 gigabytes there. I bought a 2 terabyte SSD for about 2,100 crowns or about 200 euros, and we can add 2,000, and we have a total upgrade cost of 3,500. Now we are at a total of 22,000 crowns or 2,200 euros with this one. So that's still almost half the price compared to this one. But now if we throw out this 512 gigabyte SSD and we add another 2 terabyte SSD, then we add another 2,000 crowns, and we are at 5,500 or 550 euros total upgrade cost. 5,500 plus 18,490 equals 24,000 or 2,400 euros to get an Inspiron 15 with a 4K screen, i7 processor, 32 gigabytes of RAM and 4 terabytes SSD that weighs in at 1.8 kilograms. I think that's a pretty darn solid offer. If I were you, I would definitely go for the Inspiron 15 top model and then spec it out with some extra flashy components afterwards, instead of paying a super premium for one of these guys and not getting as good value for money as I would consider Inspiron 15 7000 to be. What do you think? Which computer would you get of these guys? Are you keen on getting Inspiron 15 7000, or is the new XPS 15 just the best offer on the market right now? Comparing it to the MacBook Pro, I think that XPS will kill the MacBook Pro in every way. I don't like the MacBook Pro, I don't like the keyboard, I don't like the form factor, I don't really like the port selection with only Thunderbolt ports, so I think XPS is way superior there. But when it comes to value for money, I still think that Inspiron 15, both the i5 that I have and the i7 model, is the most valuable computer on the market right now. I will put links in the description below to where you can find these parts that I was mentioning in the video. So if you want to find a recommended 16 gigabyte RAM stick or a 2 terabyte SSD similar to the one I had, have a look in the description. Comment below which one you would select, and follow the channel if you want more of this kind of stuff. I post tech stuff, travel stuff and personal development stuff as regular as possible. Have a very nice day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.